Welcome, my dear students. Welcome to a new lecture on functional analysis. So, in the previous lectures, we have discussed about set of four linear operators from a finite dimensional vector space onto another finite dimensional vector space, and it can be represented in terms of a matrix. That's the basic idea. So, in this lecture onwards, we will be discussing about a special class of linear operators, which is actually the bounded linear operators from a vector space onto another vector space. So, linear operators, bounded linear operators on a normed space or a vector space x onto another vector space y. Usually, it is denoted by bxy. Bxy consists of collection of all bounded linear operators from a vector space x onto y. Okay, so the idea is that b of xy itself is a vector space, and it can be formed into a normed space, and it can be formed into a Banach space with a certain condition. So these are the things which we will be mainly discussing in this section. So we are actually trying to find a normed space consisting of linear operators. So normed space of linear operators. So these are the things which we will be discussing. So if you are given with two vector spaces x and y, you can actually define a lot of operators, linear operators from x to y. Some of them may be bounded. If t from x to y be a linear operator, then t is said to be bounded if norm of tx should be less than or equal to norm t times norm x, or there exists a c such that norm of tx should be less than or equal to c into norm x for all x element of the space capital X. So this is the condition of a bounded linear operators. Now, if you collect all bounded linear operators from a vector space x onto another vector space y, such collection is called B of xy. Now, if you define two operations on B of xy, that is the vector addition as t1 comma t2 belongs to B of xy, then t1 plus t2 is actually t1 plus t2 of x, which is equal to t1x plus t2x, where x belongs to capital X. So this is actually the vector addition, and scalar multiplication is defined as, so for alpha a scalar, then alpha t1 should be equal to, where t1 belongs to B of xy, alpha t1 of x, which should be is equal to alpha times t1 of x. This is actually where x belongs to x is actually the scalar multiplication. So we have defined vector addition as scalar multiplication. Then we can easily establish that using these operations, B of xy forms a vector space. So B of xy forms a vector space using vector addition and scalar multiplication, which is defined in equation number 1 and equation number 2. So we can easily establish this result by first T1 and T2 be bounded linear operators, which is defined on B of xy, which is defined from x to y. Then T1 plus T2 is also a bounded linear operator. Okay, because we can easily norm of T1 plus T2 of x, which should be less than or equal to norm of T1x plus norm of T2x by triangle inequality. We should be, since T1 is bounded, we should be less than or equal to norm T1 times norm x plus T2 is bounded implies norm T2 times norm x. So norm of T1 plus T2 of x should be less than or equal to norm T1 plus norm T2 times norm x, which means that T1 plus T2 is also bounded. Since T1 and T2 is linear, T1 plus T2 is also linear. So T1 and T2 element of B of xy implies T1 plus T2 is also an element of B of xy. And to prove the second property, we have to prove that T1 plus T2 should be equal to T2 plus T1. So by definition, T1 plus T2 of x should be equal to T1x plus T2x. Now T1 is a function from x to y. X and y are vector spaces. So T2 is also a function from x to y. Now T1x comma T2x are elements of y, and y is also a vector space. So by the property of vector space, this can be written as T2x plus T1x. So we should be equal to T2 plus T1 of x. So which means that T1 plus T2 should be equal to T2 plus T1. So the second property holds. Now the third property is associativity. T1 plus T2 plus T3 should be equal to T1 plus T2 plus T3. This can also be established using applying. So T1 plus T2 of x plus T3 of x should be equal to T1x plus T2x plus T3x, which can be written as T1x plus t2x plus t3x. This can be done because t1x, t2x, t3x are elements of y and y is a vector space. In vector space, associativity under addition holds. So which can be written as, so t1 x plus t2 plus t3 of x. So combining these two, which can be written as t1 plus t2 plus t3 of x. We have started from t1 plus t2 plus t3 of x. Okay. So t1 plus t2 plus t3 should be equal to t1 plus t2 plus t3. So associativity also hold. Now identity is quite simple. We can always define the zero map which from x to y, which is always bounded, which is defined as 0x is equal to 0. So every element is mapped onto the identity element of y. And also it has the property that t1 plus 0 of x should be equal to t1x plus 0x. 0x is always 0. So t1x plus 0, which is equal to t1. Because t1x is actually an element in y and 0 is an element, identity element in y. So the sum should be equal to t1, which can be written as 0 plus t1x, which should be equal to 0x plus t1x or 0 plus t1 of x, or t1 plus 0 should be equal to 0 plus t1. So identity exists. Now the inverse part is corresponding to every t from t1 from x to y, we can actually define minus t1 from x to y, which is defined as minus t1 of x should be equal to minus of t1x. This is the definition. So we are actually taking the corresponding to every x in x, we can define t1x in y, and we are actually taking the additive inverse of t1x. Okay. So now we can easily understand that t1 plus minus t1 of x should be equal to t1x minus t1x, which is equal to 0, which should be equal to minus t1 plus t1x, which is minus t1x plus t1x. Okay, t1x and minus t1x are elements of y. By the additive identity property of y, since y is a vector space, which should be equal to 0. So inverse also exists. So additive properties all have been satisfied. Now, in the case of multiplicative properties, so alpha is any scalar, then alpha t is a bounded linear operator. From x to y. Because, so since t is linear, alpha t is also linear, we can easily understand that. So norm of alpha t x should be equal to, by definition, modulus of alpha into norm of tx. Since t is bounded, which can be written as, which should be less than or equal to modulus of alpha into norm t times norm x. From this, we can clearly understand that this should be a bounded operator. Since alpha t is linear, this is a bounded linear operator. Now moving on to the next property. So alpha and beta are scalars. So alpha beta t of x should be equal to alpha times beta t of x, which should be equal to alpha beta times tx, which should be equal to alpha beta times tx, or alpha beta times t of x. That is, alpha times beta t should be equal to alpha beta times t by the definition. Now, corresponding to 1 times t of x should be equal to tx, which should be equal to t times 1 of x. 1 is the identity. So next property is distributive property. So alpha is any scalar. Alpha times t1 plus t2 should be equal to alpha times t1 plus t2 of x, which by definition should be equal to alpha times t1x plus t2x. Now, alpha is any scalar and y is a vector space. C1x and T2x are elements in y. So, by distributive property, this can be written as alpha T1x plus alpha T2x. Okay. So, alpha T1 of x plus alpha T2 of x. That is, alpha times C1 plus T2 is equal to alpha T1 plus alpha T2. Now, the last property is alpha and beta are scalars. Alpha beta times t should be equal to alpha plus beta times t of x, which is equal to alpha plus beta times tx. Since tx is an element in y and y is a vector space, this should be equal to alpha tx plus beta tx. So, we should be equal to alpha t times x plus alpha t beta t of x, not times of x. That is, alpha plus beta of t is equal to alpha t plus beta of t. Okay. So, thus we have established every property. So, from which we can easily understand that P of xy is actually a vector space. Now, we have already discussed that in theorem 2.7.2 B part, in which we defined norm T to be supremum x element of the domain of T, which is x, capital X, x not equal to 0, norm Tx by norm T, norm x, which should be equal to supremum x element of d of t, and norm x is equal to 1, norm of tx. If you define the norm of an operator to be this, and using this theorem, we have established that this norm satisfies all the properties of the normed space. All the properties of a norm. That is, norm T should be greater than or equal to 0. We have established that. You have to write, and norm T is equal to 0 if and only if T is equal to 0. And third property is norm of alpha T is actually is equal to, third property is norm of alpha t should be equal to modulus of alpha into norm t, and the fourth property is norm of t1 plus t2 should be less than or equal to norm of t1 plus norm of t2. We have established all these properties. So, if T is an element in B of xy, if you define a norm like this in B of xy, B of xy is also a vector space. So on a vector space, if you define a norm, it satisfies all these properties. From that, we can conclude that B of xy using this norm forms a normed space. So we can quote that as a theorem. You have to prove all this. We have already established this. So we can quote that as a theorem. So the vector space B of xy of all bounded linear operators of all bounded linear operators from a normed space X into a normed space Y is itself a normed space with a norm T should be equal to supremum x element of d of t x not equal to 0 norm tx by norm x, or supremum x element of d of t norm x is equal to 1 norm of tx. So using this norm, B of xy forms a normed space. So where x and y are actually normed spaces. So in order to prove that, you have to prove that B of xy is actually a vector space, and you have to define this norm and prove that it satisfies all the properties of the norm. So we have already proved that B of xy is a vector space, and by theorem 2.7.2, we can clearly prove that this is actually satisfying all the properties of the norm. So B of xy forms a normed space. So the set of all bounded linear operators from a normed space x onto another normed space y is again a normed space with this norm. Now the first two things are established, that is B of xy is a vector space and B of xy is a normed space. Now the next thing is, what is the condition for B of xy to be a complete normed space, or whether or not B of xy is a complete normed space, or is it needed to be some sort of conditions or criteria in order to establish that B of xy is actually a complete normed space or a Banach space. So that's what we are going to discuss, which we will be discussing in the next video. Thank you.